Got the freaking thingamajigging. Mirror. How do I? Look, I'm giving myself hearts. What the fuck? Why can't I do it? Host, guest, shop. Polls, lighting. Oh my god. Okay, let me share. Okay, but how do I get the screen up here? Alright, let's see. Background. So I can't use this if this is an effect. Here we go. Boom! Look, I'm so proud of myself. Hi everybody. Hello. I can't even see who's in here with me right now. I was just struggling to get this on the thing, but I'm gonna get started in just a few minutes. I was trying to get my portal information up here. Alexa, turn down 2. And welcome. If you guys are new to me, welcome. It's been a while since I have been live, but tonight I am gonna be talking about energy healing, which is what's predominantly on my page, but also manifesting, using goddess codes. I'm going to be sharing some goddess codes that are not in the book, in the PDF book. So I'm going to be giving a lot of information. If you have questions about energy healing, energy medicine, manifesting, goddess codes, the portal that's coming up on the 7th, let me know, ask away, and I will incorporate your answers. There's so many people in here. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I am just getting set up, so give me a few minutes, but I am here to answer energy healing questions, goddess code questions. I'm going to be sharing goddess codes. So if there is something that is going on with you that you want energy healing about, right, some information on, let me know. If you are looking to manifest something and you want to learn how to do it with a goddess code, let me know. I'm going to be sharing a lot of money goddess codes and teaching people who are new to goddess codes how to use them to manifest very, very quickly. So give me a few more minutes and I will, I'll be right back and we'll get started with some goddess codes. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm done sending. Okay, so now I'm done sending. pause is over. I'm trying to get this to where I can see it really good. Alexa, next. And I'm going to be talking about goddess codes and how to use them, and the portal that I've got going on, the portal service that I have happening next week on the 7th. And so this particular portal that's coming up is about self-acceptance. It is about exploring your sensual sensitivities. It is about releasing old thoughts and patterns about yourself. It is about embracing your new version of yourself. And so I do have a collective, there is a collective portal service going on for those things, right? That's what this, every month there are portals. Portals are basically, when there's a lot of cosmic energy that is happening at a particular time. So this month we've got portals that are happening, energetic portals happening on the 7th and the 8th, which is when I'm doing the portal service. And then we also have, I believe, the 27th and the 29th. So the portal that's coming up next week for the 7th and the 8th is all about self-acceptance. It is all about accepting your sensual, sensitive side. It is about releasing any negative things that you guys have been holding on about your self-image, about yourself. And it is about embracing that and kind of stepping into that. And so that's what this group portal that I'm offering is going to be doing. I'm going to be doing the candle work around it. It's going to last for 3 days. And there is some, shadow work and some work that you can do. And you'll be able to do that with me live, free, in Goddess University. So I'm going to chill out here because I tend to talk a lot. And I don't know who's in here. It looks like Yolanda. Hi. So if you've got questions about energy healing, if you have an issue that you'd like me to talk about, if you are dealing with a situation that you would like a goddess code for, I'm here tonight to share some goddess codes that aren't in the book and to answer some energy healing questions and see how things unfold. And, I'm just here answering questions and offering insight on those things. Pressure. I have your book. I've been using it. Oh, you are very welcome. When you went through the book, is there codes that you can't find? Are there situations that maybe you didn't see a code for in the PDF version of the book? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for stopping in. So I'll talk a little bit about the goddess codes. The goddess codes are essentially a combination. So they're not exclusively all Grab-A-Boy numbers. But they all are channeled numbers that are used for manifesting. And the idea and the concept here is that, the universe is broken into numbers. Everything is a number. Everything has a vibration, including numbers. So when we utilize the numbers in our work or on our bodies, etc., you're able to vibrate and match the frequency of those numbers. And if you know anything about manifesting, if you can match the frequency energetically, then it actually will materialize. So your work in terms of having anything that you want is to match the frequency of it. And one of the fastest ways that I have found, one of the more effortless ways that I have found to match the frequency of what it is that you are trying to manifest, to attract, or whatever, is through the numbers, because the numbers can enter your particular field seamlessly without you having to do a lot of work. Now, when I say that in terms of not doing a lot of work, without having to put a lot of focused attention on it, right? whenever you're manifesting, the work is releasing the things that stop you from getting what you want. So dealing with the thoughts, the old belief systems, things like that. So last time I did a live, there was a lady that hopped on and she was like, I got your book, I did the codes, and I manifested $2,000 twice in a 2-week time period. But some people are like, well, it took me longer than 2 weeks. How did she do it so fast? Well, she's worked through some of her blocks. So the more work you do just on releasing blocks, letting things go, the faster your manifestations will come through, regardless of, what method. Now, if you're manifesting using a different method, there is more work. There is, even if you use magic, if you're using any other spiritual practices, there's things that you have to attend to. When you're using a goddess code, though, and you've done the work or you're doing the work, then those numbers in your personal energy field automatically help you resonate at that frequency. And so it comes a lot faster. Doesn't mean that you don't have to do the stuff, but if your belief is strong, right? If you know that you know, if you can get into a place of knowing, even if you don't even really have to necessarily believe in the code, okay? Even though it's worked for millions of people and it works for me, you don't have to believe in the code, but what you do need to do is be open to receiving it, So even for the skeptic, using codes to manifest actually will work, because you're just like, I don't know. And you're offering no resistance. If you've ever tried to manifest and noticed that, like, when you stop wanting it, it just shows up. Sometimes I get stuff from like years and years and years ago, and it's like, oh, I wanted this. Like, I really don't care whether I have it now. And look, zero resistance, and it finally popped up. Sometimes people who go, I'll never find love, I'm done looking, I am okay being alone, and then the love of their life shows up because they stop offering resistance to what it is that they wanted. So if you're not really into doing a lot of rituals and daily practices, the codes are really ideal for you. Even if you are, like, I incorporate them in my candle work. I incorporate the codes. I put the codes on my food bowls, that's on my water, they're under my bed, they are under the mattress. I write them on myself. I actually had like 5 codes on me, new codes that I was working with. Like, I work with the codes all the time in everything. Which codes do I use? Or are you just asking which codes are we talking about? So the codes that I recently started working with, I got 2 new ones that are not in the PDF book. So let me pull up, because I said that's kind of what I'm here for tonight, is to share the codes that are needed, that people are looking for, and to share some codes that are not in the PDF book, but they will be in the printed version of the book. So I've started working with some codes that help remove, which codes am I talking about? So the newer ones I started working with are the ones that remove any chemicals and harmful substances that have been added to your food, right? That's why I write them on the bottom of my plate. The codes I'm talking about, I refer to as goddess codes. They are healing codes. The Goddess Code book is a combination of what is called healing codes, Grabavoy numbers, ascension codes. So these codes come from all different sources, but essentially they are channeled numbers that have been tested and proven to heal, perform miracles, things like that. So a lot of people know about Grabavoy numbers, and he was the pioneer of utilizing the number system and the number combination to heal people. And but he wasn't the only one. And there were some around prior to him, and then there were some other people who channeled things afterwards. So my book is a collection of, it's called Goddess Codes, and it is a collection of codes that I've used that have proven to be successful. And right now it's in the PDF form. but there's also going to be a print version that has thousands of codes that, you know, I haven't even I haven't scratched the surface on actually activating every single code. But that is my process. And so if you are part of, like, if you have a free membership in Goddess University, I do recordings to help you activate your codes. So you don't have to do the work, you don't have to do the counting. There are some other ways besides repeating the code 28 times to activate it. So in the book I do explore that, and I do have a class that's coming up next week that teaches you faster ways to activate codes, ways to combine codes to get better results and things like that. So I've been using the codes most recently for healing. When I first got into using the codes, I was using the codes for money. Like, get the bill paid, get the new car, get the new house, get the, you know, whatever it was very much material based. I then started using the code to expand my business, which worked very well. And then I did the codes for going viral, which I did within a matter of about a week. And so then I started doing lives, and I realized that I couldn't read, like, I wear glasses, but I could not read the screen like I'm reading right now. If you go back, so all of the replays you can either catch on my YouTube channel from like every live I've ever done, or if you're in Goddess University, all the replays are available there in that Visiting Goddess membership. That's free, right? So I used to be like, oh my God, what does it say? And I was like, this is crazy. I have the codes. Why am I not using it for this? And so I immediately started using the code for my eyes. And as you can see, like, I was sitting on the floor. Like, if you go back and look, the codes really do work. So then I started using the code. Initially, I didn't use the code. Like, I have a broken tooth here. So not that you didn't notice, but anyway, I never used a code or any manifesting anything, right, on this tooth because it broke. It was a cracked tooth, and then I got hit. I sent you, yes, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I have not been live in like over a month, so the hearts will help them push this out, because when you stop going live, because I went on vacation, they don't share it as much without the interaction. So thank you very, very much. So after the codes improved my eyesight, I decided I would try it on the tooth. Not that I expecting the tooth to grow back, right? But what is transpiring is that the circumstances, right? I was so busy, I couldn't find a dentist that I wanted to work with. I'm very, very sensitive, and I'm sensitive to the anesthesia and whatever, right? But slowly but surely, since I started using the code for my teeth, I have less irritation. I found things that were working for me in terms of healing my gums, and situations where I'm gonna be freed up to go ahead and get the tooth replaced, because it's a single tooth, and all that they're gonna have to do. So thank you so much again for those hearts, because they just sent me the notification that they're notifying viewers that I'm live finally. So it actually helps, right? So it's putting me in the right place at the right time, yada yada yada, to actually be able to get this replaced. Not that it grew me a new tooth, but it has helped me create the situation, the circumstances. I take care of one of my grandchildren actually lives with me. So like all of that. Yeah, it's a reminder. Wasn't sure if I was doing it right. So the very basic way, simplest way to activate. So a lot of people talk about codes and they don't tell you about activating them, right? Or they say do it 3 times. I have found that the best way to activate the code is 28 times. 28 times repeatedly, almost in a chantive type of form, right? Once you've activated it, then you can call on it. So you make the statement to call on source, God, universe, however, whatever is your thing, right? Help me manifest X, Y, and Z utilizing this code, and you put the code in there, and you've already activated the code. And then I've just been doing it 3 times. Yeah, so 3 times. Some people do get results, but I'm also saying that when I first started using the code, I didn't do an activation. Did I get results? Yes, but also I had been a manifestation coach for years. So had I done a lot of my moving beyond blocks and releasing things, and so yes, right? I had taught a class where how to manifest $1,000 in 10 days and then how to scale that to a day. So if I found myself in a situation and I was like, I needed easy money, a code would work. But because I had been in the frequency of it, when you do it 28 times, it just allows your whole personal biosphere to resonate with the frequency of it, right? Because the law of resonance, right? So now you've resonated with the code and it's in your biosphere, which makes it easier for you to call on it. And your body will remember. You're mostly water. Water has memory, right? Our bodies have memory. Our muscles have memory. So once you've aligned with the frequency of that, excuse me, can you give me an example of one? Example of a code or a way to activate it. But once you do that, when you call on it again, you can do it. So like I've done some videos where I write a code on my coffee cup in the morning so that I'm sipping on my little mushroom coffee and I'm activating a code within myself. I write codes on myself all the time because my body is mostly water. Water has memory. And I do a lot of my manifestations with water because water is alive. Water has memory. Water has the ability to translate information and its frequency. So if you can impose those codes onto the water and then you're sipping on that water all day, you're helping yourself align with that frequency of what it is that you want. So when you said, who is that, Yolanda? What type of example did you want? Did you want like an example of a code? Alexa, next. Like, is this my playlist they're playing? Just let me know. But actually, I do want to share some codes because I've got some really great new ones. Alexa, next. Like every time I get on live, she get to acting like she's brand new and she don't be wanting to listen. So at these codes, let's see, she hasn't said yet. What's up, babe? She sleep? Just doing it 3 times. How would I say it? Okay, so the basic statement is I use God or I use source. Sometimes I use universe. I use whatever I am resonating with at the time. So, or, divine intelligence. So, source, please help me manifest, excuse me, self-love, utilizing code 396815. Like that can be the simple statement. And since you've already activated that code, now you make the statement and then you go into motion using the code however it is that you want. Putting the code on my body, putting the code on water, putting the codes under your pillow. If you do candle work, you may want to, inscribe the code on with your candles. If you, whatever it is, right? Whatever other work you're going to do. If you don't feel like it's resonating, then say it again. Source, please help me manifest more self-love utilizing code 396815. So that code feels very foreign to me because it's not a code that I've activated. So the whole point is when you make that statement and when you're working with it, you need to feel aligned with it. Sometimes I say it more than 28 times so that I have a rhythm, right? So you want to resonate with it. So you want to get into its vibration so that you can attract it to you. It helps. Will it work the other way? Absolutely. It just may take more time. But the more that you can get into that frequency, the better it is. And so in the book, there's new, more specific health things, like if you have thyroid issues and things like that. I've added codes for your pets. I don't have pets anymore, but I know they work with pets. Entrepreneurship, love, getting your ex back, stuff that I would never do. If you want to find money, if you need immediate cash flow, some of them are just way more specific. If you're working in the stock market and you need a code for that, get clients and money, or you just want help from the money spirit, because money is energy. Energies are spirits, so there's a lot of ways, and that's really what I found, is that you want to work with the codes the way that you've I found out that you have five fibroids. So one, I would definitely recommend that you get on, not five, okay. I would definitely recommend that you get on the Goddess Cycle Tea, because it will help with that, but also with the codes. And let me see, I brought all my notebooks over here. Let's see. Right, because everything that manifests physically is that in the bio? I just found that too. You found that too? That you have fibroids? So it's not in my bio. I actually own Lux and Light Apothecary. Oh, so yeah, if you go to the link tree and scroll down, it'll be there, Lux and Light Apothecary. And so that's where my oils are, and the herbal blends. But everything that manifests in the body, the tea, yes. So if you go to the link in my bio and scroll down to Lux and Light Apothecary, and then go over to the teas, and so it is in there. And so it's a set of tea, and so it depends. Are you still having a cycle? If you're still having a cycle, then you want to get the set that for each week, right? So your body needs different things as we go through our cycle, and it provides the 4-pack. So with no cycle but fibroids, send me a message, and because I can't think of which one that you would need in this moment, but if you send me a message, I'll send you the name of which one to look for that's very, very specific to not having a cycle, because I wanted to make sure that there is actually a difference, right? So yeah, no problem. So also, I just going through the notes. So when we develop fibroids, right, we're usually holding on to hurt and regret from the past. We secretly maybe want revenge. Now, every one of these things are not going to apply, but this is the general consensus in terms of the emotions that are causing the issue in the body. Excuse me. So we're usually holding on to some hurt and regret that is definitely in the past. Hi, baby. How you doing? We secretly want revenge. We are feeling disempowered, victimized, or forced into things that we don't want to do. So we spend time nursing this disappointment and failures from the past, and we nurse them into this particular growth, right? So basically, and that's really the same as a cyst. Now, sometimes they're like a cyst, maybe start that way and then develop into a fibroid. And she said, "Oh my God, yes." So if you have cysts or it started like a cyst, right, then you are still holding on to some heavy unfulfilled dreams, right? So there's some dreams, you have some regrets, and it's stopping you from like moving forward. And those emotions in the body will cause you to develop a cyst, which eventually develop into the fibroids. So you're just kind of not able to dominate life the way that you want to, unfortunately. So the good news is, one, the herbs work, because I'm telling you, the herbs work. Like my hormones were, I did these formulas because my hormones were off the chain. Mine was due to stress, like massive stress, a lot of anger, a lot of overwhelm and things like that. And I knew my hormones were off because my iron was low. I went in one day and they were like, "We don't see these types of iron levels on people unless they are terminally ill," which I was not. But that's how bad my iron was, because my hormones were so out of whack. And then finally one day I got a period that lasted for like 30 days. And I was like, I already got iron issues and I won't stop bleeding. What the hell am I supposed to do? And they were like, "Oh, you can have a hysterectomy. You can get on birth control." I was like, first of all, baby, I'm too old for, no, I'm not getting on birth control. It's bad for me. And I'm not about to start no new shit. And you're not taking my body parts. I said, "So what do you do to balance hormones?" And they were like, "There's nothing you can do." I was like, lie again. So I changed doctors 3 times and they all told me the only way to regulate your hormones was to get on birth control. I was like, I'm 51. I'm not getting on birth control right now. And they were like, "But you still have a period." I do, but I'm still not getting on birth control. And I don't know what to tell y'all. So they were like, "Well, only thing you can do is just take these pills and it'll stop the bleeding. And so when your period comes back, take the pills and they'll stop the bleeding. But until you go into menopause and stop having a period, or you get a hysterectomy, or take this," they literally wrote in my chart that I was refusing the suggested treatment. I lit them all up, and then I had to let it go. I was like, it is what it is. Y'all are what you are. But what I'm not going to do, what we not going to do, you're not about to force me into nothing, baby. So I had been living, but not, I've been going through the same through. Tapping helped me stop bleeding after months. Yeah, I'm thinking surgery. So what I did have was I let them do like I forgot what it's called, but they like just scrape the uterus, right? Just clean everything out. Right, you ain't taking my stuff. I mean, all kinds of fucked up. So I let them do the scrape, and I had that scheduled. So I started doing the herbs, and I've been an herbalist. So here's the thing that I know for sure, that I know, right? I was a raw foodist. I am a herbalist. I worked to heal terminally ill cancer patients for a long time. Then I went through this divorce, and my life changed and my lifestyle changed, and I was no longer eating the way I was supposed to. I wasn't taking in the herbs the way I was supposed to. I was taking in processed food. I was eating, from the tree of Satan, basically. So my diet changed, and it fucked up my body. Now, I lived and was healthy and was strong, and I was in really great shape, and I had 7 kids. And then I ended up having the last one. Well, I had 8 kids by the time all the period stuff happened. But when my diet changed, it was before I had the 8th child, and my life after him really changed. And I was under a lot of stress and all that kind of stuff. It affected me, right? As soon as I went back to knowing and doing the things that I knew to do as an herbalist, as a healer, stop doing things out of convenience. Now, some things are way more convenient than they were back then, because like Baby, when I started, people didn't know what kombucha was. The only way we could get kombucha was for me to make it. Like, I had a whole designated closet for making kombucha because there was no other way to get it. I made kombucha and I made Rejuvelac, which Rejuvelac I actually like a lot better, and you don't have to deal with the group. It's not really a mushroom, but the organism that creates the kombucha, y'all probably don't know, but every time you make a batch of kombucha, the organism that ferments that has a baby. You said you have 5 children? Yeah, so I had a total of 9. One passed when she was an infant, but 9 children, and I was perfectly healthy. I was a size 5, because I'm short. So, I mean, I was in really good health. And then I just went to the standard American diet out of convenience because I was separated from my husband and had to divorced and had to change my lifestyle, and it fucked my body up. So I got my shit together, and then that's when I formulated the herbs. It was a long story to tell you that, but that's essentially how it came. So anybody coming in new, I am doing the July collective portal. It is a jar service. It's a 3-day candle service. It's $7, and this is important because this portal is about self-acceptance, self-love, getting in touch and accepting your sexual, sensual side, all of those things. And there's actually 4 portals this month. So July 7th and 8th are the first 2. And then on the 27th and the 29th, I'm going to be teaching a sensual manifesting class, 2 parts. They'll probably be really inexpensive, actually. And because I think people need to learn how to do this. But this is the portal and the energy where we are accepting ourselves and we are loving ourselves, and we are releasing the old versions and the old beliefs about ourselves, right? In this energy right now in this month of July. So this is a really good time to work on that and work through it. So if you decide to join the portal, like I said, it's $7. You can go into Goddess University. I'm going to do the work in there live, and I'll do a meditation and an activation, and I'll probably share some other things with you. But to help, some ritual type of work and some journaling. What time is that? Is the live? I believe it's 8 p.m. Yeah, it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it'll be recorded. So like if you join and you're not able to be there live, what happens is you join. So this is for this portal, it's like I said, it's $7, but it's Cashapp only. You get a free membership at Goddess University, and then when you get in, you'll get access to the portal class. And I actually go live via Zoom, like right inside of the app. And if you, hi, is kombucha good for the yoni? Yes, absolutely. The replay, that's what I'm trying to get out. The replay will be there. Yes, it actually is. So it's the good bacteria, right? Kombucha, it's just the good bacteria. And so you need to have that good bacteria in your body to balance the bad bacteria and to keep a really good, environment in there. When you've got kombucha in your system, you're not getting yeast infections, even if it's hot and even if the body is moist, because the balance is good. Yeah, I love it too. And I love it, but I'm telling you, if you've never had Rejuvelac, you need to find some place, or maybe I'll share my recipe for Rejuvelac. So that's made with sprouted wheat. And it smells just as bad when you're making it, but I like it because when you get it cold and it's a little bit sweeter. What is Rejuvelac? It's another fermented beverage like kombucha. I was just going to ask about yeast. I'm going to get some, kombucha is great. And in the summertime too, but also what I found because of the thing that was going on with my tooth, right? when you have any type of infection in your body, when the bacteria in your gut is properly balanced, you get less infection, right? So always sipping on kombucha it should be like a staple. Like really, like you should have kombucha, even if you just, like I went through a period where I had to take antibiotics for like, I want to say almost 3 weeks. I didn't get a yeast infection, and I'm really sensitive to antibiotics but a shot of kombucha every day, I didn't get a yeast infection, even though I was on antibiotics for like 3 weeks straight. So, and they switched up the type of antibiotic, but kombucha does wonders, and it balances everything. It's a really nice natural way to get your pro and prebiotics without having to take pills, because you really don't know where that came from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So outside of that, oh, and also I wanted to say though, I don't remember who it was, for those of you that have the fibroids, if you do the energy work, if you do the work to release those emotions surrounding, yeah, I'll look it up. If you do the work around the releasing the emotions that are causing the fibroids, that will help them dissipate. Okay. I don't think they're playing. She playing my daggone, what you call it? So let me see. I'm looking for the emotional things behind yeast. I don't think I have a lot on there. Hold on. Do you know? Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss what y'all are saying over there. Oh, this is the White Trash song. This is definitely my playlist. So I don't. Let me see. That's really interesting to me. I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna write it down so I can get that information, because I don't know what the emotions really are. I don't know what those are, and I don't have those in my notes, but I'm gonna write it down. Releasing old emotions, is that really just acknowledging the emotions and forgiving yourself? Yeah, to some degree it is. Your body has the ability to heal, right? It knows what to do if you ask and if you get out of its way. So when you say, okay, so two things just came to me. I don't know yeast specifically, but yeast is still a vagina issue, right? When you're having a lot of yeast infections, or they're just a regular occurrence, it is a disconnect from your divine feminine energy. So anything happening in that vaginal area is a disconnect between, you and the divine feminine energy. When I was laying there and I was like bleeding and had been bleeding for days and days and weeks, one of the things is I started to have a conversation with my body, with my uterus, with my vagina. Thank you, first of all, for doing the work that you've done. Like, I brought in healthy children. I had vaginal births. I began to really reconnect and acknowledge, how much my body has done for me and how appreciative I was for what it had done and what it continues to do without me having to do anything, right? So when I got there and I started to reconnect. Now there's a book, I don't know if it's called Pussy, Reclaimed by like Mama Gina. Listen, it's a book that you should, if you got a vagina, you should read the book called Pussy. And she takes you on her own personal journey. But the point is, the more that she reclaimed, the more that she reconnected, the more that she spent time with herself and her body, the more she healed. But also, it became a place that she manifested her dream life from, right? So there was a connection, and that connection, the pussy is the portal. It's the portal between all the dimensions. You can't be here without traveling through that. And the fact that you have one means that you are that divine portal, right? Because it doesn't get any better than that, right? Also, I would recommend reading When God Was a Woman, because there used to be all of these temples where people came to worship pussy. Oh, wow, thanks. People came to worship pussy because they understood that pussy was life force, right? The energy, the divinity in it was acknowledged everywhere before patriarchy, because we weren't originally ever in patriarchy. If patriarchy was how we were supposed to be, people would be thriving, right? If this is the structure that we were meant to live in, we would be at peace. We wouldn't have war. Like, if men were really good leaders, this is not how things would be working out. Like, our president-to-be would not be a felon, right? So, but that's a different soapbox. It's all connected to the vagina. Read the book Pussy. It's all connected to your divine feminine energy. Also, if you are angry with men, if you're holding on to feelings of shame, humility, stuff like that, that's connected to having any issues within the vagina. Okay? If you're overtired, you're giving too much. You're giving too much from an empty cup. If you're denying yourself pleasure, you will have issues with your vagina. That includes yeast. That includes dryness. That includes, I don't know, I can't think of whatever else it is. But denying yourself pleasure will create issues. Someone said postpartum. Are you asking what are the emotions associated with postpartum? Also, if you're rejecting yourself, right? Because that's what it all comes down to. If you are rejecting yourself, it disconnects you from your vagina, from your pussy, from everything. And that's the essence of you. That is your gift. That is literally your gift. You are a divine being, and you have the ability to give life, right? And so you really need to connect to that and love that about you and love that for you. And even if you're in a place where you're not able to bear children anymore, the level of wisdom makes you disconnected. Yeah. Let me see if I have anything about that. Even if you're not bearing children anymore, literally, the knowledge and the wisdom that you hold in your being. Like, you have, as women, we have the ability to make full-blown human beings. We have the level of energy. So when you combine that with the fact that our bodies has enough energy flowing through it to light up an entire town. You are energetic, you are magnetic, you are divine, you are life-giving. Everything about you gives life. I know y'all have seen the black wife effect. It don't just happen with white men. We do that with every man. We do that with our sons. We do that with others. The very presence, our presence, your presence as a divine feminine being, gracing your presence with anybody, showing up and being present amongst anybody else is a gift. And when you start seeing your own energy as a gift and realizing your own level of divinity, right? You set the tone. You fall in love with yourself. The more you fall in love with yourself, not just this, right? Because sometimes the outside body is not exactly how we want to see it. We ain't got the flat stomach and whatever. And I truly understand that. Like right now, I'm not a very big person, but I'm bigger than I've ever been in my entire life, right? So although other people will say, she's really small for having all those children and blah, 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 blah. But like literally this is probably how much weight I carried when I was having children, because I've always been small and I had to make that adjustment. But then I also had to just learn to love where I am, how I am, why I am, regardless of how I got here. And then I stopped worrying about it. And then usually things kind of shift out from that. But you have to love more than the physical body. You've got to love all of the inside of you, right? You need to understand that this is a shell. The essence of you is inside, but this shell is divine. And if you had to come here and get this, the most divine, the most life-giving avatar that there is, imagine how divine the spirit is that's in there, traveling and holding and protecting, right? You gotta love all of you. And your pussy is a portal. And you need to get in touch with the portal. We are so conditioned to believe that the portal is for some man, right? That we forget that it's for us too. We literally are, men's penis is multifunctional. We literally have a body part that is solely devoted to pleasure, which means we are designed to have a lot of pleasure. Our whole everything derives from pleasure. When you are feeling good and are in a state of pleasure, everything comes effortlessly. Your manifestations, right? Anything that you want, anything that you're thinking about, it is possible because you're feeling good. So tap into and reconnect with your yoni, your pussy, however you want to call it. That's what this portal is about. That's the work that I'm going to be doing. She says, I'm 4'11", I'm 189 pounds, and my body is feeling it after the pregnancy. Bad sex is definitely bad sex is definitely the worst. Like, but here's the thing. So one of the things she says in the book is like, technically we have the ability to make any sex or to derive pleasure. We have the ability to derive pleasure from any penis, right? Because really the magic that comes to the sex, it's us, it's our energy, and we have the ability to adjust and receive pleasure from whatever is going on. That's true, but I mean, bad dick is bad dick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's just trash. But if you know how to pleasure yourself, which I believe we not only should know how, but should do on a regular basis. So she has a practice called What Do You Have on Pussy, right? So it's a conversation between you and maybe your closest friend, right? I changed the angle, and I feel like my shoulders are ginormously like 6 feet wide. So, so the conversation goes like this. You're speaking with your friend and, you know, you guys are doing this together. So you say, you know, hey, beautiful, what do you have on pussy today? And she may say, I've got, you know, I'm stressed out. It's the first of the month. I'm stressed out about bills. I've got this, I've got that, I've got that, right? So there's a conversation. So all of those stressors, right, are kind of on pussy. But when you get to release the pressure, it releases and frees the pussy. The pussy is the guide, right? It's that sensation. You know, when you know that you look really good and you feel really good and you're kind of flirty and you're a little like, you know, that moment when you're in the energy of I'm that bitch, right? I can have it, I can do it, it doesn't even matter. That is when you are most connected to your divine feminine energy and the pussy. So the work in that book is about how do you tap into it and stay in it, right? The class I'm doing later in the month is how do you tap in to that sensual, sexual you and bring it up, right? From the pussy through the body, use that to manifest, whether you're doing it in orgasm with yourself, in orgasm with a partner. And then when you realize what that feels like, you have the ability to recreate that without physical external stimulation. So I have a class that's called, you know, manifesting using your divine feminine energy. And that's really what it is. It's like, what does it feel like in the foreplay, right? You know, when the foreplay is going on and all of that energy is in the lower body, right? In your hips. So I teach you how to move that energy up the body so that you are carrying it all the time. And then you're manifesting with it and you are expressing your desires and you are receiving, because that is really, really a receiving energy, right? When you're in that foreplay and you're feeling good and it's, you know, nothing's happened quite yet, but you are ready, then you're really, really ready. That's the energy. And the practice is, how do you get to that by yourself? How do you wake up and get to that, right? One of the things that you start doing, and I used to tell my daughters, like, before you go on a date, masturbate. First of all, a hungry pussy will have you sleeping with men you don't even like and men that are throwing red flags. Don't ever go nowhere with a hungry pussy. That was like my number one rule amongst probably like 4. I don't have a whole lot of rules for my kids, but my girls was like, don't ever go out with a man with a hungry pussy, because it'll have you doing shit that you really don't even want to do. Like, I don't even like him like that, but damn, you know what I'm saying? You take care of yourself first, right? Plus, like, you know, don't drink shit if you ain't seen them pour it. You know, there were some other regular rules, but like that was one of them, because I taught for years sexuality, sensuality, sex classes for women and for couples only. So taking care of yourself and tapping in, one of the very basics is that, you know, the assumption is that men are the only ones who wake up horny, right? We know that because they're, you know, you see their dick in the air. But if you wake up and masturbate, you take yourself there, right? You set the tone. So whatever emotions that we're feeling, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the roses and the sharing and all of that great stuff. I really do appreciate it. But if you wake up in the morning and you create that energy in your body, it creates new neural pathways in the brain, right? And then because I do energy healing, right? Whenever you're feeling a sensation that feels good, right? And you want to make like, this is the standard, you tap right here. You tap it in. This is how you set that energy in. When you're feeling really divine, you tap right here. So now you've created this new neural pathways, and you do this every morning. Like, you can just make this a practice. Try for the next 7 days. Before you get out of the bed in the morning, masturbate. Once you've reached climax, tap it in. How you approach the world is different. I know you've met women who are like, yo, like, she just really needs some dick. It's not the dick, right? It is the climax. It is the pleasure. She needs to be reconnected to her divine feminine energy, that pleasure center. When she gets reconnected, it's not the dick, right? Because, I mean, every time you leave a man, you realize that he really wasn't that great. He was only great because he was reflecting you back to you. That's what made him great. And when you started seeing him without your reflection, it wasn't that good. So, always, what you're seeing in them is just a reflection of you and the energy that you pour into them. Sometimes we take care of them and we heal them and we love on them, and that makes them glow. And then we love them even more because of the glow, but we're the essence of it. So you got to take care of yourself. And I haven't forgotten the postpartum. I'm trying to get a feel of, but that really just kind of came and set on me. Like, that is essentially what that is. It's all, anything in the vagina, it's divine feminine energy. So whether you're having yeast infections, even if you think about it from like even just a very basic, if you end up with an STD, it is because the disconnect with your divine feminine energy allowed you to be in a situation with a man or another woman that doesn't have the self-respect that they need to have, that has the willingness to put you and your body and your peace of mind in danger, right? There's still a disconnect. We don't end up in that situation without there being some type of disconnect. So I'm trying to feel like postpartum is definitely a diagnosed situation, but it is also like like depression is a diagnosed situation. So I'm thinking that it's more of an emotion instead of y'all listen to country music. I love Buckle Bunny. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Let me see. So it's an emotion. Yeah. Okay, so I'm asking for it, and it's gonna come. So if you leave, the person who was talking about postpartum, right? If you leave here and it hasn't sped out of me like that other stuff just did, come back to the replay. The replay will be on my YouTube channel, or if you have a free Visiting Goddess membership, I put all of the replays there too, so you can watch whenever you want. But yeah, it's gonna come to me like the best way to handle it, and I just don't know what that is yet, because it feels very much like overwhelm, right? Okay. So it feels very much like overwhelm. I don't know what that is. So yeah, so I think the divine feminine energy, that healing, like this is the energy that we're in for this month. Where should we start first with all the yoni work? Masturbate. Masturbate. So also, like when you do mirror work, right? When you're doing mirror work and you are looking at yourself in the mirror and you are affirming yourself in the mirror, do it with your yoni as well. Sit down, get a mirror, look at her, talk to her. The whole Pono technique works really good when doing mirror work with your yoni, but also just having a conversation, right? She's been there for you, whether you've had children, you've not had children. Any issues where, like, you know, it's very rare that you meet a woman who has not had the unfortunate experience of having sex when she didn't want to. Receiving a type of sex or a rough sex when she didn't want to. Agreeing to sex when she just didn't want to. Allowing him to finish when she wasn't into it. Allowing yourself to be entered when she has not bloomed, right? Most women have had those unfortunate experiences. And so when you're doing the mirror work with your yoni, acknowledge those experiences, right? It's like talking when you're doing your inner child work and you're showing up for that inner child, that little girl, and saying, you know, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, or you didn't have what you need. So when you're doing the yoni work in the mirror, all of those times when I knew you weren't ready to be entered and I allowed him to enter anyway. I'm sorry. I love you. So Ho'oponopono is like the 4 statements, and sometimes I get them confused in the order, but it's I'm sorry, or please forgive me. I'm sorry, I love you, or thank you and I love you. So please forgive me. I'm sorry, I love you, thank you. Right? So even if you just make those statements, if you look up Ho'oponopono, I'll do a video on it too, but those statements, looking in the mirror. So if anybody who doesn't understand or know the history behind Ho'oponopono, I'm happy to share that. But looking in the mirror and making those statements will start the healing process, right? It can be very, very emotional because we should not, your vagina, your yoni should not be entered if she hasn't bloomed, right? There is a blooming. Just like his thing gets hard, we bloom and we open. When we allow him to enter and we have not bloomed, we are doing ourselves a disservice. We are quieting our divine feminine energy. We are not being true to ourselves and our needs. That is not how sex is supposed to be. It's just not. And unfortunately, it's been, thank you so much, it has been normalized, and really it should be criminalized because it's not how our bodies work. Yeah, thanks for doing that. It's not how our bodies work, right? I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That makes so much more sense than the way that I said it in my head. And please, if you follow me, if you're new here, like I 100%, I don't even know if I've ever said this before, I have dyslexia. So sometimes how it comes out is backwards than how it is in my head. I do it more with words than I do with numbers. So I know a lot of people with dyslexia has it with numbers, but listen, I can't be messing up my money. So I never had the problem. So yeah, do that in the mirror. Start there and figure out how to give yourself pleasure with no toy. No toy. If you use lube, use higher quality lube. Like KY is basically car oil. You know, that without the colorless car oil. It's the equivalent of that, right? It's not good for your body. So you want to get an organic lube. You preferably, if you are older, closer to menopause, gone through menopause, or you have any other vaginal issues, get the lube that has things like seaweed in them, right? Because it helps. Mind you, the vagina is a muscle, okay? So don't be, even if you don't have a partner, and I know people are talking about, I do all this celibacy stuff, and celibacy, I get it. There's a need for it to some degree, right? In some ways, but also it's a muscle. If you don't use it, you will lose it. Your pussy will go into atrophy. Make no mistake about it, okay? I have worked with a lot of couples where she really wants to have sex, but she went through menopause and they weren't having sex, or she married later in life and it was painful. It's painful later in life, not just because it's dry, it's gone into atrophy and it doesn't have the moisture and the muscle is tightened, so it's not expanding and giving, right? So you can use toys sometimes, but you need to learn how to fully climax without the toy, because the toy will, first of all, make sure that every toy that you do use is either glass or it's with surgical grade silicone, right? Anything else is trash and it's not good for the body, and it's giving off. You remember back in the day, you'd open a toy and it smelled like it was off-gassing, like carpet and shit does, and we were inserting it, right? So, good Lord. Like, it's just, there's so much to be said. But, so you want to learn to orgasm easily and effortlessly, right? And toys are an overstimulant. So it's fine to use them sometimes. I'm not saying never use a toy, but when you really want to get deep into and reconnect with your divine feminine energy, you want to be able to do it without a toy, because you really want to be able to turn yourself on and orgasm without being touched. They do sell quartz crystal toys, and you can get them not just in quartz crystal. You can get like rose quartz, you can get amethyst, I think you can get hematite, you can get a couple of different ones. So it's hard to recreate that and really get into the rhythm of it. In this moment, I think they have some on, it's not Honey Pot. There is this amazing company. Okay, so I'm going to make a post tomorrow with the company name, and I'm going to be like, if you know, you know, right? So if you come back tomorrow, like around noon, to my page, it'll be on there, and it's just going to say, if you know, you know, and I'm going to put their link, right? But also, I have a Amazon store front, so I will also go through Amazon and find some of the ones that I think are really good, and just put them in there. So, and I'll do a video that just shows like, hey, it's up, go check it out, and then check out those. So I used to sell products and I don't anymore, right? I sold products when I was teaching. I was teaching sex classes like 3 nights a week, but I was teaching live, right? I was working with couples and women. I did not work with men. But you don't want to go into atrophy. You want to use a lube that's got some seaweed in it, that's organic, and if you can use crystal toys, that's even better, right? If you're using toys, like, you know, when people would come in, because I was actually going to buy a store, so it was a store that was already up, and I went in there, and the lady, we did all the numbers, and I was like, okay, let me work here and see if I can do this, whatever. And so I started teaching the classes there, and then, you know, I learned more about the different brands from the different companies and the, you know, different countries they were manufactured in, et cetera, right? So when you're buying toys, right, the first questions I ask is like, do you like internal or external? And then does length or girth matter, right? So depending on what you like, internal as a crystal, you can do way more often. If you prefer external stimulation, granted, most women need external stimulation to climax. Most women cannot climax with penetration alone. But if you find that if you're solo, right, that you only want external stimulation, you really need to work on doing that the majority of the time without a toy. Internal stimulation with a toy, especially like a crystal toy that doesn't have a vibration to it, you can use that way more often because you're going to have to usually give yourself some level of external stimulation manually to climax in that combination, right? But you and also you're doing all of the work, right? Versus, you know, the thing that just kind of has a suction and sits still and, you know, you get on it and ride it. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not saying don't ever do that. I'm just saying that in the journey, on the journey to connecting with your divine feminine energy, you really want to be able to stimulate yourself. You want to be able to stimulate yourself and climax without a vibrating toy so that you can fine tune that energy and so that you can step into that energy and you can live in that energy. Can you imagine? Think about how you feel when you are turned on, hot and ready. And then imagine going through your life like that, right? Because think about how he responds to you when he knows he can get it. He knows you're ready for it. He want to give you whatever you want because you are exuding that energy, right? Imagine every fucking body you meet is like, oh, let me give it to you. Let me do this. That's what it's like, right? Now, you get to fine tune it so it's not like overtly sexual, it's just sensual. And then our natural nature is that of receiving. So you're in the mood, you are in that energy, your natural ability for receiving is there. People will come out of the woodworks. Women, men, children, animals will show up. I'm telling you, it is an amazing energy to be in and to live in. It's work, and work in the sense of practice, to be able to be there all the time, to stay there all the time. You know, everybody has shit days, you know, shit happens, you know, but if you know how to get in it, right, that would be nice. Yes. And what happens is you walk around moist. You know what I'm saying? Like you know. And even if you're having a bad day, how you take that is still different. How the bad day rolls off of you is different. And divine feminine energy is not all soft and it's not all, you know, submissive. Like we are goddesses of war and fucking destruction and death. Like we will take heads as women, especially when someone we love is threatened. Like we have all that ability too, don't get me wrong. And being in that energy doesn't always necessarily mean that it's a soft and submissive energy, right? Because some of us like wild sex as well, right? More aggressive, etc. You get to be and do all of that version of you. So the class is really about not just learning how to get into that energy and live in that energy, but figure out what version of you, what goddess are you? So that when you start embodying your divine feminine energy, you are able to get comfortable with how you express it, right? Because there's some women, I've got a girlfriend who very much in her divine feminine energy, but you know, some men in my life are like, she's way too masculine. She is way more aggressive than me, right? I love things that smell sweet and flowery. She likes hot and spicy. I'm not that, but I'm probably just as hot and spicy, like in the bed, but not in my expression. But she had to dial down and dial in, not really dial down, but dial into what is her expression and be comfortable with that. She's taller. She doesn't wear heels. I'm short. I wear all the shit, right? All the heels and up to my thighs and whatever, right? We're built different. What is it that turns you on? And how to get into that, how to live in that. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that, then please follow me because I will be posting about that class. It's going to be a 2-part class. Like I said, it's not going to be like a relatively expensive class, because this is the month for that energy. And I have been waiting. I have not been teaching this in a long time. So we're going to cover, you know, how to connect to your yoni. And I'm going to say, like, literally, if the word pussy bothers you, it's probably going to be a hard ride. Because the idea is to normalize what that word, right? And don't let it, because, you know, being a pussy is like an insult, when our pussies are hella stronger than a dick, right? I'd rather be a pussy any day. But it's really about owning that word and not letting them turn it into something that it's not. So I do and will say it a lot. I have learned to use yoni for social media purposes only. But we'll talk about how to reconnect, how to start your self-love journey with your pussy and being connected, and things you can do for that. How to get into that energy through masturbation, how to bring that energy up into the body so that you can carry that energy with you, and then how to use that energy for manifesting, right? And to call in the things that you want. Definitely, though, if you just join, like, you're going to want to read Pussy, the book. And it's by Gina. I think her name's she's called Mama Gina, but I think it's like Regina or something. But if you look up Mama Gina, she's got videos. Now, it was back, you know, I don't know, when Oprah was still on TV, and she was really big, and she was running her school for whatever, I forgot it was called. But she's got great information. Her books are easy reads. And it's about her version of stepping into her divine feminine energy and leading her life with her pussy, right? It's like waking up in the morning, it's like, okay, pussy, what do you want to do today? Why? Because it's your pleasure center, right? So if you're connected to her and you're following her lead, she's gonna lead you to pleasure every time. And that shit, let me tell you, when I started doing that, that changed everything. And it changed my connection with myself, and it changed how men treated me, right? I was never like an ugly girl. What's her name? Her name is, look up Mama Gina, because her name is Regina something. But and the book is on Audible. So if you have Audible, look up Pussy there, because I've got both. I've got the hard copy and I've got it on Audible, because sometimes it's easier for me to listen. But and she does a lot of history about pussy in her book. So you kind of get the backstory, which I think is a great foundation for the class. Yeah, you do. The audiobooks, because I love books, so I buy the audio and I buy the print version because I like to have the books. Regina, or yeah, something. I don't know her last name. But yeah. Read her books if you can, and it's the foundation. It's the foundation. Do I agree with everything? Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Because she does talk about, like, she really wanted a man, and, you know, she decided she was going to claim him, and she rubbed her pussy juice all over everything, right? And, of course, he came to her. They were together, but it really wasn't the way that she wanted. And you know, I'm not going to spoil it for those people who haven't read it. But the thing is, do I agree with that? Yes and no, right? So, how you use it, it's up to you, right? I don't believe that it's not necessarily good, it's not necessarily bad, right? It's going to be, what is the outcome that you're wanting, and what is the situation that you're starting from, okay? So, going and meeting a man that you know is committed to somebody else and rubbing pussy juice all over his stuff so that he desires you, wants you, and you're led there. I don't think that is, in my book, you know, ethically, morally correct. But, you know, to each his own. You know, you gotta... I try to live in a no judgment zone, because sometimes it's not stuff I would do, condone, or whatever, but ends up being the exact result that you wanted. So really, was it bad? I want self-pleasure and to activate my own personal feminine energy. Yes. So you've got to start there, and you've got to start with that mirror work with your pussy, like reconnecting, because there's times if you've been attacked, if you've had, you know, a forced relationship, if you've had experienced any of those things, right? You need to reconnect. You need to acknowledge. You need to give her the time and the attention, and do it from, this is between you and her, right? That's because that's the portal of life. She's giving you life too, just like she's able to give life to a whole nother being. So you've got to reconnect and understand, like, yes, I know this happened. I'm sorry, because ultimately, you know, I made that choice. I gave in, I allowed it, or it happened to us. It wasn't okay, but we're okay now, right? Because sometimes we don't have control over what's happening. So doing that work and journaling out what you feel, what emotions are coming up. If you get angry, it's okay. If you're sad, cry it out, even if it takes you days. And sometimes it takes you days, you know what I'm saying? Especially depending on how old you are or how much life you've lived. It may take you a while to cry it out, to do what it is that you need to do. Yeah, Tom Shaver? I want to say Thompson, but okay, if that, yeah, you got it, Regina. So yeah, check out her book. But to connect with that divine feminine energy, you've got to connect with your pussy. You've got to connect. You've got to clean house. You've got to apologize. You need to learn how to give yourself just a massage. You need to know where your G-spot is. You need to know that we have way more than just a G-spot, right? And move beyond that, right? You and your pleasure, it's everything, right? Because then you connect with the pussy, you connect with the heart. And when you do those things, a lot of like the old or negative sexual patterns can't exist, you know? And I'm gonna tell you, there's times in my life when it's like, yo, I wish I could take him for a ride because of whatever my situation was at that time. But because of my connection, right, I just can't. Because I need what I give myself. She's not going to bloom just because he has a dick, right? He's not going to bloom just because in the moment, I would love to believe that the best way to get over one is to get under another, right? It's not like that. That's just not it. And I listen to her. So when she's not Mama Gina, the School of Womanly Arts, that's what it's called. Yes, the School of Womanly Arts. So, and she's got videos on YouTube. But yeah, I would dive into that. And in the book, like I said, the exercise, like what do you have on pussy? Find somebody to do that exercise with. I'm trying to think of anything else from that particular book, but that's a really good foundation, and that's really wasn't where I started, but it definitely was a game changer for me, because I had already been in sex education, re-education, and selling toys, and at the time I was heavily into that lifestyle. So I actually, because I did sell toys and I wanted women, so okay, here we go. Where are we on likes, right? Hearts. Okay, so like, if you guys share it out, I'm gonna give you a story time on my sex life. Right? So let's I'm gonna give you a story time. So I had been married twice, right? I was married the first time I was young, blah, 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 blah. It was great. I had 2 kids, moved on. Okay, so now I'm married. I'm married to a Muslim guy. And I was really, really attracted to knowledge. So I wasn't very physically attracted to him, right? So, and as time progressed, I discovered he had a mental illness. And so, but before the mental illness, like there was just something about him that just like, he was crazy, right? I was having a lot of kids back to back, but I did not enjoy sex with him at all. I just didn't enjoy it. I wanted to have babies. And so I was having sex to have babies because I had this idea of this life, right? Kind of like one of the fucking weird ass Kardashians, right? I wanted all my kids, because I already had 2 kids from the first marriage, but I wanted the rest of my kids to have the same dad. I didn't want to have to, my other kids were younger when I got into this marriage. So I was like trying to make it cohesive. I wanted multiple children. I wanted my children in pairs, right? So I'm having sex to get pregnant. That's it. I don't really like it. Like, ugh. And it was a chore to say the least. Like if you've ever seen Color Purple, she was like, he would just climb on me and do his business. That's what was happening. Okay, so I get out of this marriage. It was a crappy marriage. If you guys saw the other live, I shared about leaving that marriage and discovering that he had been sexually abusing my daughter, right? Who ended up pregnant. All of that is in the other live. You can go check it out. It's on YouTube and in Goddess University. So I get out. I'm living my life. Facebook comes out. People from high school start, messaging, right? And I have lived quite a sheltered life because I was married to a Muslim. So people start asking me out. I'm doing stuff and, it's like, okay. And I meet a guy that I knew in high school. I was his math tutor. We had some of the same friends. One of my girlfriends from high school dated, 2 of them dated him, right? He was a nice kid, but he was short. And, we spent a lot of time together, but there was never like any sparks between us. He was one of those guys I really felt safe with, right? So one day he sends me a message on Facebook and he says, hey, you probably don't remember me. My name is such and such. And they used to call me such and such back in high school. And I was like, of course I remember you, because I loved his name. Mind you, this will let you know, like, he has a very, like, hood name, right? Apparently it's common in the hood. I didn't know that. But, so I loved it. I loved his name. I had never heard it before, blah, blah, blah. So when he sent me the message, and the day he sent me the message, my mom was like, remember that little kid with the really big feet who used to always come by the house and hang out, even when you had your boyfriends over or whatever? And we laughed about it. I remembered him then. I told him his name, and then he hit me up on Facebook, right? So now, long story short, I started messing around with him because my friends were like, hey, you know him, he's safe, blah, 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 blah. And you just got out of this marriage and you need to kind of get your feet, among other things, wet, right? So he would be a safe bet. So I do it. And it was like my whole life cracked the fuck open. It was like for the very first time in my, I was probably when I met him, I was probably like 34, had an orgasm without my own stimulation. Right? It was like, wait a minute. And I didn't know it could be like this. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Was this just like a one-off because, whatever had been going on in my life? No. We kept doing it. And he was very, very accommodating, right? And was not very pushy. And he just kind of let me do whatever. At that point, life is crazy. What is this? The short one. So, okay, he did stay short though. He did. He's taller than me. Okay, so but he was short back then. He had these really big feet, and his head was, anyway, he grew into his head, and everything grew. So I discovered I fucking loved sex. Like, it felt good. It was exciting. And he was just sort of like, hey, do what you want to do. And at that point, mind you, I'm 35. I have never, ever given head, ever. So, and my first husband will say that wasn't true, but I have no memory. Like, if I did it, it was like, it wasn't memorable, whatever the fuck. So anyway, and I'm only saying that because my first husband and I are really good friends or whatever. So we joke a lot, but 35, and it's time for me it's not time for me. I want to, right? I realize I've never done this. I don't know how to do this. How am I supposed to do this? Literally, he lays there. I call my best girlfriend, Nancy. Nancy is on the phone on speaker explaining to me how to give head. But it was a good time. Like, I had a good time, and I realized I absolutely love this. And I thought, I don't want my kids to be 35 and just discover that sex is a great thing and that it's a wonderful thing. Right? She's amazing. But I got to learn more. Right? And I started reading and I started studying and I enrolled in school, and I was like, yeah, I've got to find out all the shit. Like, what else can we do? I bought every product. Then I decided, like, I got all this shit, I might as well start a company. What's the best product? I started researching. Like, I dove deep and realized that there was a real need for women to be educated about sex, because a lot of our education was coming from the response of men, right? So when I decided I was going to buy this upscale adult toy store that catered specifically to women and couples, and I was teaching already for women and couples, it was like a perfect match. So I go in there, but now I'm in the store. They know me as the teacher, and people are coming in, and college girls are coming in and they're crying. And now it was a vintage look, right? So we had like vintage sofas and chairs and stuff like that, and furniture, right? All of the products were displayed on vintage furniture. So it was like a boutique, boudoir type of style, right? So these young girls were coming in, and they were saying, the very first girl, I'll never forget, she came in and she looked around, and I was like, honey, can I help you with something? And she's like, I don't even know what I'm looking for. And I said, well, let's go broad and then we'll narrow it down, right? And she's like, well, I just feel like I'm hoping that there's something here that can help me, because I don't know what's wrong with me. And I said, okay, you gotta elaborate a little bit more for me. And she's like, I was having sex with this guy and I didn't get wet. And he basically, and it was, it was painful. It was, she just didn't like it. And he got angry with me and was like, something must be wrong with me. How, cussed her out, called her all kinds of names, won't date her anymore because they had sex and she wasn't wet. He didn't care that it was uncomfortable for her, and she started crying because this asshole didn't have the ability to stimulate her. And she's like, it's never happened before, and I just don't know. She didn't know, she wasn't educated enough to know that she wasn't stimulated. He wasn't turning her on. Her pussy did not blossom, and she tried to accommodate him anyway, and it was not a good experience. And he blamed her, completely blamed her. And I thought, this can't happen to my kids, and I don't want any woman to ever think that these bad sexual experiences, because she was the first, but she was definitely not the last, right? That these bad sexual experiences are their fault. It's like men's egos are so fragile, and society has told us that we cannot tell them when their fucking sex is trash. Like, we have to be ready at the same time. Alexa, what the hell are you playing? Alexa, place. say nothing. Alexa, play See You in Church. Anyway, so thank you. So I was like, I can't. At the time, my daughter was in high school, but this girl was in college. So I was like, my daughter, hell no, you're not going to be going to college thinking that, you know, somebody else's issues or whatever. So, you know, I dove deeper. I really got hands-on in educating. I realized I loved sex and it was enjoyable and there was so much pleasure and there were so many things to do. And so that's how I ended up getting educated, going to school. I went to school for 2 years, studied. I taught online classes and whatever. Mind you, that guy, and you know, we went back to like high school and they were like, oh, we heard you guys hooked up and he turned you out and whatever. And it was like, nah, that's not really what happened, because I was pretty much I was a really good girl in school, right? And I was a cheerleader and whatever. And so they kind of felt like he hung out with a bad crew. He wasn't really the bad guy, but a bad boy, so to speak. But anyway, that, you know, he changed my life. And instead, what was really happening is I came into my own and discovered sex and pleasure, and that I was deserving of pleasure and I was capable of amazing pleasure while with him. He allowed himself to be available to me. And of course it was fun for him because it was shit he'd never done before, but I tried it all. And so, I mean, I started selling products, and then I started attending like swingers parties. And I don't know if you guys know how swinger parties work. You've been to a swingers party? So, because I don't have to go into it if you guys already know how it works. But I had, you know, a room or sometimes a table in the entrance or whatever. And so, like, in order to get into certain rooms at these, so a swingers party is where couples typically go, people go to share partners, swap partners, or to hook up with people that they're meeting just that night. So a lot of times couples will come, and if they like to play with another female or they like to play with other men, like some men kind of have a fetish of liking to watch their women with other men and vice versa, what have you. So a swingers party is typically in someone's home or in a location that has multiple rooms. So the parties that I would attend, very large homes, right? And each room had a different theme. And then certain rooms were set up, you know, just for sex, right? So like if you had sex in the basement room, it was for watching, right? So you basically got into the bed, and unless people were like doing it on the floor or whatever, people would just stand around and watch you. But you were in that room because you didn't mind to be watched. If you, they had a toy room, so you couldn't go in that room without a toy, which is where I came in. So I would be at the entrance room or in their like what would normally be a living room, and I would be selling toys. And I'd be selling toys, and then they have to buy a toy to get into the toy room, right? And so it's basically a place where people are sharing and swapping partners. And I was at some of the better ones, upscale, but I did in-home parties. There are also swingers clubs where you go in, and then there's rooms that have bathrooms, and they're swapping in there, and they're there for the hookup of that, right? So I don't even know how I got onto the swingers thing, but anyway, I ended up taking him to the swingers things. Like, he participated in like all kinds of stuff with me because I was diving deep. I wanted to know. It was a great experience. I had a great time. We had a lot of fun. If you're wondering, did I swap? That's not my thing. I never did group sex. I I definitely, it was fun for him because I'm attracted to women, right? I find women to be very attractive, but I don't necessarily have relationships with women. My preference is men. And some people will say, well, that means you're bisexual. No. Alexa, next. Oh my God. So anyway, that's where all the knowledge came from, right? And then I shortly thereafter became a life coach that fine-tuned it into a manifesting coach. But then what I realized was that I could manifest better with, oh, listen, I don't know if this is the first live you've been on with me, but Alexa, she don't be giving a fuck about anything. Oh my God. Okay, Alexa, play songs I like. We're gonna see, because sometimes she plays stuff I don't even listen to. Anyway, what was I saying? So I was saying that there's clubs. We did a lot of things. I'm not bisexual. You know, and people get confused when they're with me. I know, but that's, you know, not my thing. And but I'm very respectful of everybody's orientation, whatever you like. If it works for you, I love it for you, right? So it made it very easy for me to teach. Oh, I was saying that I discovered, though, when I started having, when I became a manifestation coach, that if I did certain things during sex, my manifestations came faster. It was easier, right? Because I was already in that receptive mode. And then a few years later, I ended up reading, you know, the book by Regina, and started putting more and more pieces together and started learning how to live and embody that divine feminine energy. And it makes manifesting a lot easier. Through the years, did I hold it and maintain it every year? No, like shit happened in my life that took me out at times, you know, like my dad passed. That shit rocked me to my core. Was I in my divine feminine energy at that time? No, I was devastated, right? And so I try to teach through my life. So I then created like a healing from grief, healing through grief, living with grief class. I have no confidence in my sensuality. It makes me so uncomfortable. I so admire any woman who is. Listen, it's in you, right? What happens is we've got these voices, and we were sold beliefs about our sensuality and our sexuality by other people who were insecure. And we bought it and we believed it. Like there was a time I used to do direct sales, and I was young, right? I was like 18 when I first started. I'm so glad. I'm so glad, because that's so inspiring. I think women need to embrace who they are and be comfortable with who they are, because also when you're comfortable with who you are, there's no competition, right? You can't see competition because you are who you are, and what's for you is for you. And it allows us to love on other women and support other women instead of how society pits us against, one another. So getting in tune and releasing the bullshit that has been served to us by society, by family, and sometimes lovingly by family. So like I was saying, I sold cosmetics, right? The second company was Mary Kay. So I did really well, and my mom was young, right? She had me when she was 17. And so when I would go to the business events, I would wear my mom's suits. And the older women there were like, you can't dress like that when you go to do makeup at women's houses because their husbands are going to look at you. And they literally put me in a situation to where I felt like I was ashamed of how I looked. And if a man did look at me, I had done something wrong or disrespectful. right? So I became very, very like, don't look at me, hiding myself, all of those types of things, because of all of the feedback from these women that I looked up to who were in higher positions in this organization, who were telling me that my natural sensuality, sexuality was bad. And those were things I had to work through too. You know, I was teased because of, you're a director, get out. So I made it to, I don't even remember what it was called. So at the time, I wasn't a director, I was a team leader or something. And I got the red the car, whatever, that first car, the first car, not the pink car. And it was red that year. I don't know. So, I built a team and everything, but they were very, very, like, you're overly sexual. And I really genuinely was not. It was my natural essence of who I was. And it bothered them so much that they collectively tried to stop that, right? I had experiences where grown men were coming on to me and making me uncomfortable, and I felt like I had done something wrong. And so I tried to not do that. They teased me in school. If you guys remember, I'm about to show my age, that song, and I don't and the chorus was like, do fries go with that shake, right? Because of how I walked. And so I spent years trying not to walk with such a sway because I didn't want the other girls to be mad and try to, oh, you too, trying to not stand out, right? Because clearly I was, other kids were taking notice. Girls didn't like that their boyfriends were looking at me, like the whole thing. And I took that all on as it was my fault. None of that was my fault. It was all their insecurity. And so that's the work of realizing that, same here, I don't even care anymore. Yeah, so, listen, now, but when you don't care and you get to embody it, right? When you don't care and you embody who you are and figure out how you want to express that, it's freeing. Sex is better, life is better, manifesting is faster. And although the movement is now decentering men, right? Whenever you decentering a man doesn't mean you don't have one, that you don't want one, that you don't enjoy playing with one, right? But when you decenter them and you are your center, right? Engaging with men and other women or whatever you choose to do is still from a place of pleasure and not need. And your life is freeing. Yeah, you get to be free. You get to be free and you get to, hey, Simone, how you doing? You get to be free and you get to do what you want to do, right? You get to live and be who it is you were meant to be. So I have not refreshed this room in a minute. So I'm just going to say real quick, thank you. I'm doing, July 7th and 8th is the first portal for July. So for $7, you can become a part of the portal service. So everybody gets part of that jar, gets put into the jar for the service. And it's 3 days. It's 3 candles that are burned over 3 days. And we're focusing on accepting and exploring our sensual sensations, releasing our old beliefs, and seeing yourself in a new light, right? So we're talking about right now how when you connect with your divine feminine energy, when you do pussy work, meaning that you're connecting with your pussy, when you are loving on yourself, when you really tap into that divine feminine energy, because that's the energy of this portal for this month, then you your life changes, right? You get to embody who you really are. You get to live at a higher level. You get to manifest at a higher level. You get to enjoy sex because we are supposed to experience pleasure. We were designed to receive pleasure, to experience pleasure all the time. And when I really started realizing it, and sometimes, you know, because I'm sure everybody's had an occasion where somebody's like extra nice to you and things just happen, but it's not intentional because you don't know what you did that day that was different. You know, the day was just different. People responded to you different. You don't know if it was the perfume, if it was the whatever. The whole point of the classes that the two class series that I'm going to be doing later this month is to teach you how to tap into that and do it and live from it on a regular basis. So when you're living from it on a daily basis, granted, most of my manifestations come through women when it comes through my business. When I'm out in public just living my life, my manifestations come through men. I couldn't stand in a store and be like, oh, like literally I was with my boyfriend, but he was pushing the cart. He was way behind me. And I, not paying any attention, I was like, there it is. I want that one. And some man appeared and was like, oh, let me give that to you, right? And he reached up and got it. There's times when I'm just like, I just want it, and somebody shows up and offers it. There's times if I can be sitting in the grass and men will appear because I need a ladder. So, because I don't actually have a ladder, and my boyfriend lives further away, right? So, I mean, like not around the corner. So I just needed a ladder then, but the guy shows up and has enough conversation with me for me to know I need a ladder. That's been happening a lot to me recently too. Yeah, and you've been on your self-love journey. So like that, it is a sign. When you're in the energy, they show up to serve. Men, male energy, divine masculine will show up to serve. Right now, I don't even want to get on the soapbox of men and the foolishness and fuckery that they're on. But the nature of things is that, you know, men are not natural born leaders. Do we send it to, yeah, you send it to the Cashapp. My Cashapp is not pinned in here, but it is in my bio, right? And put your email address in there, and then I'll send you the link. Simone, I don't know if you have the Visiting Goddess membership or with Goddess University, but I'm gonna do the ritual live in there, and I'm gonna do a little bit of teaching on how you some exercises that you can do to get into that sensual energy. And on the 7th is when I will open up for people to enroll in the class about manifesting, about tapping into your divine feminine energy, manifesting from your divine feminine energy, living a life. And yeah, so we moved. I got a whole new app that is so freaking awesome. So if you haven't switched over, the link, if you go to the link in the bio to like, you're gonna log in, it's gonna be we have a whole new app. So create an account, log in, and then if you bought any of the classes previously, find me on the app and send me a message, because now we have the messaging feature, we have the chat feature, we have announcements, we can go live in there. I'm so excited. I'm waiting for everybody. I have like still 200 and something members that have not moved over to the new app. But so that's one of the things I was supposed to be talking about anyway that I totally forgot about. Like, I've got a new app where we can communicate, and I can go live and people can ask questions, and I got you. So people can communicate with me regularly, like on a daily basis, and not just when I go live here. Of questions about the classes that they take with me and any of the free content that's in there. Whether you've bought a book, whether you've bought a class, whether you're doing energy healing, like I'm in there every day. The live's been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me and being here for so long. I really appreciate your time and your energy. And if you're following me, and I think I will put that stuff up tomorrow, like what lube and what toys, and that other company that makes really good toys. that you can check out. I'll make a video tomorrow that has all of that information in it. And don't forget to get your free visiting goddess membership at Goddess University, because I have a lot of free classes and stuff there that you can take. And then all the information that I talk about in my lives and on any of these videos, it's all available. Like, I think one time I like made a sigil for the class, for the live, and then I put it there. Do I just pay to the Cashapp for the portal service? Yes. But make sure you put your email in there, because then I'll send you the link to the portal and everything in that email. Hi, Eve. It's so crazy that I can see. I promise you, my first couple of lives before I started doing the goddess codes, I could not. I was like totally squinting and the whole thing. And then I had to make the whole screen nothing but comments, because it's a little bit bigger like that. So, yeah. So what's been going on with you, Simone? Like, we've been talking about all kinds of things. I was telling them about how I came to discover at 35 that I liked sex. And how that like parlayed into like a whole business, and where I went to school for 2 years and studied all about sex, human sexuality, human sensuality. And I recommended that everybody, you know what? If you guys get if you have the visiting goddess membership, I will put the book, the PDF of the book, Pussy, that I was talking about, in the visiting goddess library. And so you could just download it and start reading it immediately. You don't gotta wait for the book to come unless you want to get the audio. But the book is amazing. I do have the book on PDF, so I will put that in the visiting goddess membership, so you guys can access it for free. The book is a great place to start for reconnecting with your divine feminine energy. Is a big part for me, but I'm super protective of it. Yeah. So, you know, what I discovered is, like, I protect myself and my energy. Truly, you have to. But kind of what we were talking about is living in, being in touch and being in control, but living from the energy of pussy, right? So, you know, the energy and the frequency that you're on when you're really, really turned on, right? And the pussy is kind of blossoming, but you're not actually having sex. The level of receptive energy that you have at that time, and what you're giving out, and what you're capable of receiving, right? Which can be as large as life itself, right? The seed that you need to multiply into life. So if you could live from that energy and manifest from that energy and learn to embody that energy, so that you live from this tuned in, turned on, sensual space in your feminine energy all the time, it's sort of like life gets to be, the only word I can think of is like juicy. Stuff gets juicy because you're juicy, right? You are exuding like this amazing, sensual, yummy, sexual, excited, but it's very controlled. For the most part, it's very controlled, because you're ready for it, but you're not going to just take, anything. When you get to where you can live in that and operate from that and set your intentions and manifest and move with your desires and follow your desires. So I was talking about and recommended that everybody read the book Pussy, because she talks about leading with your desire, ultimately leading with pussy. Where does pussy want you to go today, right? We are creatures of pleasure. And so when we follow pleasure, we are following the essence of us and what we want, and you follow that, you're going to end up with whatever it is that you desire. Plain and simple. If you are in that juicy energy. But some of the women we're talking about, getting in touch with their feminine energy has been difficult for them. We talked about some of the emotions that create things like fibroids, and yeast infections, which kind of what spawn that off, right? So whenever you have any vaginal issues going on, it is because there's a disconnect with your divine feminine energy. And so that's kind of where we started with this. If you're having any vaginal issues at all, so a yeast infection, we talked about fibroids, cysts, any hormonal imbalance with like excessive bleeding or not having a period outside of menopause, irregular cycles, all of those things are a result of a disconnect between with your divine feminine energy. So we were talking about that. Also, I want to show y'all, I did a thing. So these are new. Can y'all see that? This is a candle. I haven't cut the wick because I just took this off the mold not long ago. I'm not done painting him, as you can see. I just don't want men to approach me with that sexual energy I exude. So there's a difference between exuding sexual energy and sensual energy. And when you get control of it, right? When you get control of it, what happens is they don't. They observe you from afar. So sexual, like a sex energy, they will approach because they're trying to fuck. But when you control it and you have a sensual energy, they admire that. They want that. They want proximity to that. But they know you're not giving off the I'm a fuck energy. So they are timid about it. They show up more to serve because it's an energy that they want to get next to. It's an energy that they want to explore. It's an energy that they want more information about, right? So you've got to get more into the sensual side of your energy than in the sexual side of the energy. The sexual energy is for when you choose, like you're the one, you get to get it, right? But the sensual side is how you should be all the time. That is your nature. You are very sensual. And so when you know how to balance it and you get full control of it, you don't have to worry about men. Usually if you're very, very, I got it, Yolanda, I just saw it pop up. Thank you very much. And I'm going to send out all those emails that come out tomorrow. Yeah. So if you are in that sensual energy, right, what happens is a lot of men are intimidated because they know that's not, she easy to fuck. It is, I got to come with my A game. And so it may not stop you from being approached by men, but how they approach is completely different. You get approached with respect. You get approached with, what can I do for you? I love your energy, right? How can I make things easy for you? Whether they're opening the doors or reaching up to get the high stuff, or you're standing behind them so they're paying for everything. Like that's how they respond to that. So it's really about learning the difference and then learning how to embody and the sensual side and how and when to unleash the sexual side. I like that energy. Yeah, so you got to learn when to unleash the sexual side because that side can't be out all the time. And then there's going to always be assholes who are who see that you're sensual and who may try to elicit the sexual side of you, right? But how you turn them down also lets them know. She's not to be messed with. Like, she understands her energy. She understands what she is, who she is, and how she is, and I can't touch that. Most men are going to admire from afar. I told my girls when they were younger, if boys, as you get older, men hit on you all the time, you're giving out an easy vibe. Every dude is not going to shoot his shot if he don't think he has one. It doesn't happen. That's why a lot of really attractive women will say, I never get asked out on dates. I never get hit on when we go out. She's elusive. She's elusive, right? She has the appearance of high maintenance, of high standards, so every dude is not going to run up on her because they're intimidated. She clearly is going to take more than what he has to offer, or what he's willing to offer in that time period. So men start to weed themselves out when you elevate your energy, because your energy will set the standard. Now, will there be dudes that are unattractive to you who will try to hit on you? Yeah, and sometimes I'd be mad about that. But what I'm saying is, he may be unattractive to me, but whatever he has going on for him, he feels like he can match the frequency that I'm offering. Some dudes are going to be like, I can match it, but you immediately know the dudes who are working too hard and when you're out of their league. One of the biggest problems we have as women is giving men a chance when we know from the gate that we are out of their league. It's a disservice to ourselves, right? It's a dishonor. It's a dishonor on your cow. It's a dishonor on your... Anyway, I watch a lot of cartoons. So it's a dishonor to you. Now, if you said, I turn legal and stop getting hit on, it's still the circle, right? Because there's a group of men who like young girls. Like, that's a pedophile circle. Change your environment. Quality men will hit on you, and then you'll have your pick. But it comes from the energy that you exude, right? And I do recommend you get a mirror. You sit in front of your pussy and you do the Ho'oponopono work, and you acknowledge all the times that you've allowed yourself to have sex when she hadn't fully bloomed, when she wasn't fully moist, when you really just didn't feel like it. All of those things. That's like the starting point that I was talking about with getting in touch with your feminine energy, so that you can heal the connection, right? Because once the connection with the pussy is restored, then you heal the connection with your heart. So if your heart and your pussy are connected, a lot of that stuff, all of that stuff that's happened in the past, that was not consensual or was not things that you wanted, things that you did to please someone else other than yourself, will end. It will absolutely end. When you become number one, your connection is so great that somebody else's desires do not supersede yours. It also supercharges your manifestations, right? Your connection, it makes you tuned in, turned on, juicy, moist for yourself. When you can get into the energy of being literally sensually turned on without being touched, and then live and embody that energy whenever you want to, it's life-changing. You get to have the things that you want. You get to do the things that you want. And you don't have to make allowances. You don't have to compromise or make sacrifices, because you are who you are, and the world responds, right? However you believe you are is how the world responds. So if, and I'll just use Simone, I'm gonna pick on you for a minute. If you have a belief that if I'm sexual, so men approach me sexually, they do. Because that's your belief, right? So if you believe it, that is what's going to happen. If you change your belief and say that I'm such high value that only high value men respond, that's all that shows up. When you embody your sensual self and you demand from that sensual energy that only high value candidates show up for you, approach you, have conversation with you, only men of a certain level of intellect, that's all that will show up for you. There's nothing else. That's all that happens. The universe responds, right? When you love yourself, the universe responds in kind. It's always going to be that way. You're feeling that shift already. That's excellent. So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot, right? And it will change your manifestations too, right? Also, because innately, I think there is such a negative stigma that's put on sexuality with women anyway, from society, right? That when you shift into just being in your sensual self, you don't have to contend with all of the rigmarole and the programming that we received from childhood about our sexuality, about our sensuality, etc. Like, you just don't have to contend with that at all, right? And you get to a place where you're confident enough to define what that is for you, because what is sensuality for me may not be sensuality for you. How much skin I'm willing to show may not be as comfortable for you. You can still be your sensual self and not show skin and body parts and not wear tight clothes or short clothes or whatever. Those things are not what determines, your feminine energy, your sensuality, and what you get to receive and how you get to be at all. Because you can show all the skin and just run around with pasties and still be respected and admired and revered and all of those things, because it is about truly your belief, right? It's about what you believe, what you're willing to tolerate, what your energetic minimums are. All of those things come into play. Nobody else changes but you. But when you change, the whole world changes. I love that name, Dolly. So anyway, I want to show y'all, I did a thing, right? This is new. I'm going to be putting these in the Lux and Light Apothecary. So I want to talk about it though. This is a candle, right? Because I collect skulls. I have a thing about skulls. But this is a candle. And this is what is called a cocktail candle. So I don't know if any of you do any candle work or things like that. But when you say you were going to light a candle because you wanted to increase your confidence, and you took that candle and you put a goddess code for confidence on it, and you kind of sat with it, prayed over it, whatever, to increase your confidence, and maybe you added some herbs and oils that also carry the frequency of confidence to that candle, and you light the candle, right? This is all of that in a skull. I really, really love head work, is what I call it. I don't know what other people call it, but I call it doing head work, right? So it is dealing with someone on a mental level through spiritual work, particularly through candle work. And so typically I light my candles on a skull when I'm doing head work. If I'm trying to help somebody heal, if I'm trying to change someone's perception, if I am trying to penetrate deep into their thoughts and help them change old belief systems, etc., right? These candles, though, have all of the herbs and all of the oils and everything already in there. So it needs to be trimmed, but you get it. So typically when I would buy these types of candles from other people, I would turn it over and then dig a hole and then fill it with my petition and the herbs and all of these. But now I'm doing custom head candles. So it has everything in there. This has a petition in it, etc. So this head candle is for me. This head candle, I did one for me and I did one for my boyfriend. But it is simply, this one for me is about self-love. It is about me being able to see and recognize how divine I am, right? And my divine energy and my special gifts, to see them for what they really are and to be unencumbered in expressing them. So this candle is actually for me when I do the July portal. But these candles, you can order them just as is, and then if you want it to just a solid candle, and then you can do your own dressing of the candle to burn. But also, if you wanted a custom candle, you could definitely get a custom one, and you send your petition, and I add it in the candle, so it's all there. But this I love so much because I typically would do a body candle, and I didn't bring one in here, but I've got a beautiful body candle. She's got lots of boobs and lots of booty and lots of belly. And I do my self-love work burning those candles, right? It's because the candle I hold to me, I can feel her. It's a body. It's like my body, especially when I'm doing glamour work and working on my own self-image and stuff like that. Working with a body candle works really well. Working with the change of my thoughts, releasing negative thoughts, releasing old belief systems, using a skull candle is ideal, right? Because it's a lot of focus. You can put your focus in it. But anyway, so if you like to get some of these are going to be in the Lux and Light Apothecary very soon. And you can always message me if you need a custom one. But during this time, if you're going to do work yourself, I suggest you do a head candle and spend some time writing out, what are you going to release? What beliefs about yourself, about your sexuality, about your sensuality, do you want to release it during this portal? Now's the time to change it. I don't know. Oh, that's the burning ceremony information at the bottom. Now's the time to identify it so that you can let it go, right? I'm gonna for the people who join the portal service, I'm gonna put in a tapping session so that you can also use that to reset the nervous system, so that you can release old belief systems. And if you get into Goddess University, like, send me a message and say, hey, add this belief to it if you don't want to do it publicly. And I will add those beliefs to the tapping sessions, or I'll do multiple tapping sessions so that you have them in there, because this is the best time to let it go. And you've got to identify what it is. It's hard, it's hard to heal what you don't acknowledge. It's hard to release what you don't know exists. So anything that's come up, are these beliefs releases mainly sensual, sexual based? For this particular portal, for the 7th and the 8th, and for the month of July, yes. But during the full moon, they don't have to be sensual or sexual. But you want to kind of focus on anything that's surrounding that during this time period, because that's what this portal is about, right? So even if you believe that you're not sexual enough, that you're not connected, that you shouldn't be, that there's shame in masturbating, that any of those things, right? That how men respond to you is your fault. How you dress is, is wrong or grabs the wrong attention. All of those types of things it's all bullshit, right? It's all bullshit. Like, I don't even really have, I don't have another explanation for it. It's all like 100% crap. Those are things that you're going to want to release. Sometimes we have a deep-seated belief that we don't deserve sexual pleasure, that we are supposed to just be available to provide sexual pleasure for men. Not true. Men's sexual organs are multi-purpose. We are the ones who have this very specific body part for the explicit purpose of pleasure, right? We are supposed to be receiving pleasure all the time. We have it. Men's is like sometimes it's here and there. It's whatever. So release all of those things. All of those things, even incidences. Incidences, is that a word? Situations that that have happened to you that are sexual in nature, whether someone hit on you, made you uncomfortable, groped you, all of those things. You want to start releasing all of that. You want to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself if you didn't respond the way that you wanted to, right? If you didn't defend yourself the way that you probably felt like you should have because you were trying not to make waves. But we've been taught, don't make a fuss. If you say something, you might lose your job. It'll cause a problem. Those types of things. So you want to forgive yourself for not responding to any of the situations that you sexually or sensually that you've been in, or any belief that you decided to believe that someone else said to you. Even if it's not explicitly about sex or sensuality. But for example, at one point my stepdad told me I should just live in the basement. When I left my first husband, I should just live in the basement because no man was going to want a woman with 2 kids. Mind you, the man I got now, he got with me when I had 7, and then we ended up having another baby, right? So and he had to play hard to get his spot, because with a bunch of kids, even when I was pregnant with my last son and we separated, men were like, yo, are you with your baby dad? Are y'all together? Can, if y'all not together, I don't mind dating a pregnant woman. Right? So I got told that a lot while I was pregnant the last time. So, but that impacted my sexuality and my sensuality and how I saw myself and how I presented myself. Like I didn't deserve or wasn't worthy because I had birthed children. Right? So those things can impact. Yeah, your ex, they always want to try to, sabotage you for something better, right? They tend to want you to settle for how they are instead of doing the work to be better, to be something that we would want to take or to have or to be with, instead of feeling like we are settling. So there may be a lot of things that were said to you in relationships, around sex, during sex, right? Those are the things that you want to focus on releasing right now. Why? Because releasing those things will help you heal your relationship with and reconnect to divine feminine energy. How do we release negative emotions from inappropriate attention? So the first thing is to acknowledge that when you get inappropriate attention, it is not your fault. It's not your fault. And you need to tell yourself that, right? And really believe, that's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my shame. That's theirs. Because even if there's really no inappropriate way to dress. There is, you know what I'm saying? There's never a situation where unwanted attention is okay. If I was standing around in a pasty, think about this. It's summertime. A lot of us are wearing 2-pieces, right? So somehow men have rationalized that you shouldn't be inappropriate with a woman who's got on a 2-piece swimsuit, but if a woman was standing outside in her bra and panties, it's okay for them to be inappropriate and make inappropriate comments or give her inappropriate attention, right? That's not your fault. That's not your thought process. I literally was on the phone this evening with somebody who made a comment about whatever they were watching on television. It was a guy, makes a comment about what he's watching on television, and he said there was this whore in the town in the TV show, and they tied her to the pole in the middle of the town, and all the men are just running through her. And I was like, what? And he says it's okay because she was really a bad person. What? I was like, get off my phone. That is not okay. Nothing about that is okay. I get that you're watching a movie, but he knew who he was talking to. So then he tries to justify it like, well, she's a bad person in the movie. Really? Because technically there shouldn't even be movies like that, because that makes men believe it's okay. Them giving you inappropriate attention is not your fault. It's not your shame. It's theirs. You need to give it to who it belongs to and leave it with who it belongs to. That's their problem. Hang up around wearing what I want because I'm worried of how I've been seen. So when you focus on how you see you, how they see you doesn't matter, and it doesn't exist. So you've got to focus on how you see you. That's all that matters. When you see you, right? This is the shift that happens, right, in the embodiment portion. When you see you as sensual, respectable, loving, beautiful, whatever it is, the world will follow. So someone said something to you, something happened to you, and as a result, you believed what was said or the thought that you had at the time. Because you believe it, and that's how you see it, the world follows suit. And men do and say shit that is inappropriate. But when you see you as someone who, one, doesn't tolerate the negative, doesn't require the negative, one who can do what the fuck she wants to do, when she wants to, how she wants to, and you better not try it, they don't, right? How you see you, what you think about you is right. And the world will mirror that. And all of that is from when I was a minor. I could always sense when the comments were coming. Yeah. And sometimes, right? Sometimes things were said to us when we were young, not even from a place of hate or spitefulness, people trying to protect you, right? But they did it in a negative way. And so you have to forgive the people who were making the comments. If someone did something inappropriately sexual to you, I don't say forgive that. I'm saying, moms yelling, don't you go out with no bra. Don't you be walking around like a hoe. Quit showing your ass. You're too fast. All that crap. That was that generation's way of trying to protect you from men who were untamed, who were uneducated, who were not being held responsible for their actions and their words. Not because there was anything wrong with how you dressed, what you were doing, and how you looked. I asked my husband at least 3 times this weekend, does this make me look like a hoe? Listen, Dolly Parton, when she was a kid, she said she saw this woman walking downtown and she had like this beautiful hair and the nails and everything. And she said, Mama, who's that? And her mom said, that's a hoe. And she said, well, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a hoe. And that's why she dresses in the tight clothes and does the stuff that she does, because it was attractive to her and that's how she wanted to be. Who cares what the fuck they call it? Right? What do you call it? How does it make you feel? At the end of the day, it is about how you see you. There was a video that was out once that said, I was painting my nails red, and I'm paraphrasing, like, I'm painting my nails red, and my boyfriend comes in and says he loves me with red nails, and so I decided to paint my nails blue, because who the fuck cares what he loves? That's the thing. I love it. You better love it. That's just it. And the truth is, that is what happens, right? You love it, and the world will follow that energy that you set. You set the tone and everyone else responds. People are going to fucking love it. And they will. As soon as you love it, as soon as you love you. And of course, you may occasionally vibrate with somebody who goes, oh my God, why are you wearing that? Because you can't. Why are you asking me? Right? But that is still an embodiment. And when you finally embody that, what they think, it's not even gonna matter. As long as you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then yeah, you make the adjustment. If you're comfortable, honey, what they think, including the husband, he better love what you love. He better move the way that you move. And if he thinks that somebody's looking too long, then you married him. His job is to keep them effers off. Keep them away from you. Keep you protected. Create and hold the space for you to be you in that space. Unencumbered. Unapologetically. Right? So you have built-in physical protection. But I promise you, when you start to embody who you are, love who you are, connect to that divine feminine energy, live from that really juicy sensuality, like, you don't need physical protection for the most part. I mean, men are men, right? But if you set the tone, the world will follow. Like, I cannot iterate that enough. Like, if you set the tone, the world will follow. And we're going to talk about that a lot in the class that I'll be doing later in the month, because it is true. And the biggest work is releasing the negative. When you release the negative, right, it's just like how in energy healing, when I tell you, like, your body knows what to do. You just got to get out of the way. You got to give it what it needs. The body will heal itself. You will connect with your divine feminine energy, because that is who you are. That is the essence of you. When you remove the blocks, when you release the old thoughts, when you stop buying into the bullshit that didn't even come from you, when you return to sender the things that are sent to you by people who see something in you that they don't have, and they try to ruin it. Right? Because some people are not healed and they're not connected. So yes, they do shitty shit. But when you're connected to you, when you're connected to your higher self, when you are in your divine feminine energy, none of that shit matters. You know, oh, she said some shitty shit because she's just not connected. She doesn't even know who she is, poor thing. And that's your thought about it. It's not just your thought about it, that's your belief about it. So when you leave that scene or you exit that conversation, like, it's really gone. There is no overthinking and rethinking. And actually, you know what? It's like, shit, if they talk shit a lot about the outfit, you might need to go get it again in another color. Because it's giving everything right now, right? It's giving you the attention. And when you meet women, I did this video, I think like a week ago, when I said, when women, people who don't know you and people who are not trying to get to know you, that you never did any negative thing to, just don't like you or say negative things about you, it is not really because they hate you. They're not really haters, even though that's what society calls them. They see in you something that they don't have in them. And a lot of times that angers and upsets them and causes them to lash out at you. They see in you the very thing that they are talking shit about you about, they don't have the courage to do. They don't have the courage. So if I don't have the courage, how dare she step into her power? Oh, I'll make her feel bad so she stops. You know, it's the crabs in the barrel thing. Misery loves company thing. And the way you get out of that is you change your frequency. Because if you're not on that same frequency, if you're not still entertaining those hateful thoughts about yourself, then you're not on a frequency where you even get to hear. They may say it, but you don't hear it. That falls on deaf ears. It's like it never really even happened, right? Anytime there's anything, we manifest, right? Law of attraction is a law because we live in an attraction-based universe. So what does that really mean for us? It means that there is no assertion. There is no assertion. We live in an attraction-based universe, so there cannot be any assertion. In essence, everything that is happening, you are a vibrational match for. You're a vibrational match for everything that happens to you. So when you change your vibration, when you vibrate at a place of true self-love, true self-worth, all of those things, you are not a match for somebody who says you are not worthy, you shouldn't wear that, how dare she do X, Y, and Z. That falls on deaf ears, and whoever they're talking to is a match for it, but you never hear it and you never know it because you're not. Yeah, so again, that is a combination of, feminine energy work and manifesting work and working through your blocks, working through your belief systems so that you can kind of live at the frequency of the things that you do want and not the things that you don't. What time is it? Wow. So I'll just I don't know where Camille ever went because she was supposed to be in here helping me reset the room. So yeah, those people no longer cause me to question myself because and that's what happens. Like they just kind of disappear. You know what I mean? Like I've had people who were like stalkers who literally spent, their whole life chasing me, trying to make me unhappy, trying to make me miserable. Like that was like their fucking life work. And then I changed my frequency. And then what would happen is my frequency went up and down, right? When you're first learning. And so I'd be fine, flying high. I would get upset. And then this bitch would show the fuck up. Why? Because my frequency lowered and she was able to reach me. So it is about frequency. I thought I had healed a lot of trauma, but it has come up a lot recently about divine femininity. I still need to deal with, right? And so know too that we don't heal like this, right? We heal like this, right? So you can look at it like a spiral or you can look at it like an onion. I like the spiral, right? Because when you're healing, right, and you're on the spiral, you're coming back around to some of the same issues, but as soon as you're dealing with it on a different level, right? So at the level you dealt with the trauma, but the level that you're moving into is requiring you to deal with it on a different level, and so it comes back up. When it stops coming up, it's gone. But know that you're going to spiral through, and then you may spiral through and you not get stopped, because you have healed, and then you move on to something else. But you're going to heal, you're going to deal with trauma, you're going to deal with all of those different things over and over again at different levels, regardless of whether it's trauma, if it was just a belief system, if it was a thought process, whatever it is. That control is key. I'm learning that practice makes good. Yeah, practice makes it, better. There's really no perfect, but practice will definitely make it better. I used to do, my life was like this, right? I knew the process, so I could get up here, but then when I plummeted hard and I plummeted low. And then my goal was like, yo, if I could just do this and not stop falling below the line, and I could do this, that would be great. And then I was like, yeah, no, I just kind of I want to do this, right? I want to go through life kind of like this. And so I don't mind the peaks, but see, the peaks are a full jump, right? So instead of like, I don't want to do this and then go, oh, it was there, because see, it still creates this big fall for me, right? Or for anybody. So you want to like, okay, I'm going to elevate. And now how am I going to move here? And we may move up, and then how are we going to move here? Like, that's kind of how you want to maneuver through healing, growing, expanding, moving into your next level. It's a better practice than trying to jump up and then, control the falls. If you learn how to glide, right, because there's going to be ebbs and flows in your life regardless. Like, seasons change. Everything, that goes up has to come down. Things that are good, go south, like the whole thing. I've tried to avoid using perfect there. Yeah, I see. And it was excellent. It was an excellent analogy, because there is no perfect, right? You can't get it wrong, right? And you're never going to be done. There's a new belief system for you. You can't fuck it up. You can't fuck it up, and you're never going to be done. So just know, wherever you are, it's okay. You're where you're supposed to be. You're going to learn your lessons. You're going to move on. You can't fuck it up. You just learn. You learn a lesson and you move on, but you can't fuck it up. And it always gets better. It always gets better. Are you doing any readings this evening? By the way, I'm just curious. You know what? I bought my cards. Nobody asked me. So, I mean, if you'd like one, I'll pull a couple of cards for you, and then I'm probably going to say goodnight, and then I'm going to jump back on tomorrow, and kind of just with the same vibe of, I liked where this went, but we'll talk more about the goddess codes and things like that. So, but I love a card. Sure. Let's see here. So Simone is saying that you need to do some more research about whatever it is that you're about to jump into. Like take a class, some type of seminar or whatever, but you want to take some immediate action, right? Whatever's going on, it's a challenge that you can definitely work through, right? But do some more research, take a class, do an apprenticeship, get a mentor, whatever it is. Like, who is that? Is it? Ooh, look, I just started squinting. LaMeel? Did I say that right? LaMeel? Yep, see, there you go. Okay, ask for help. So this was La Lolo. La Lolo. Please tell me if I'm saying that right. So you got the Ten of Springs. This is about asking for help. You're being weighed down because it's all work and no play, right? You need to create a balance. You can't do, look, okay, there's the card. So all work and no play. Ask for some help. You don't need to carry the entire load on your own. Who is that? Aubrey? Aubrey, so you got the King of Winter. So this is about being unemotional but experienced, having a lot of knowledge. You need to get some advice from a professional. It's saying something about you having an unemotional relationship and possibly you doing some public speaking or going somewhere where someone is doing some public speaking and they can give you some professional advice or a more professional objective on whatever it is that's going on. So let's see, and I'm gonna do this one last one. Let's see here. This is for 1044. You've been getting that message? Oh, good. 1044. You're welcome. Oh. Carol. It's interesting. I honestly think they want me to change cards for you. We're about to see. Nope, there it went. Okay, so you got the Prince of Autumn, which is about being responsible, a little mischievous, and studious. It says that you're going to get some really happy news. You're getting a promotion, just got a promotion, or some kind of scholarship. You've had some well thought out plans that are going to work out perfectly, but you may need a little push in the right direction, right? But definitely you've got happy news. Either you've gotten it, you're about to get it, and it's surrounding your job or school, like scholarship, free money, that type of thing. And whatever it is that you're on the fence about, I'm pushing you over. Spirit said, jump. It's okay. It's going to work out exactly how you want it to, need it to. It's going to all be for your benefit. You're very welcome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm going to jump off and do some more work before I go to bed. And I will be on tomorrow night at 10. So if you feel so inclined, please join me tomorrow. I will post the things about the toys and the lube that I think are high quality, that are good for our bodies. And just want to make sure you have a good night too. Thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to follow and do the bell notification thing so you'll know when I come back on. But I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Thanks for all the hearts and the whole thing.